did not work out for... Oh, Kyle Busch turns Chase Elliott.
Hard into the wall. And almost back up into traffic.
Oh, Clint Boyer getting pushed. Almost collects him. Man. I'm not sure what that was all about from Kyle Busch. I don't know if he misjudged trying to side draft Chase Elliott, but definitely turned him.
Flag.
Oh boy.
So I alluded to this in my last video, but man, that whole deal between Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott was fun as hell. For the first time in a long time, there has been a clear-cut villain that the majority of the fan base is vilifying. Sure, fans have hated Kyle Busch through the years, but there hasn't been this much hate for him since I'd say about 2008 when he crashed Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Richmond for the win. Both of these had a common theme to them though. Kyle Busch taking out the most popular driver in NASCAR. I know, this isn't some grand epiphany that I'm coming up with. Everyone can see a clear connection here. But it leads to something a bit more fun for those of us who don't really have a side in this thing. In each of those instances, Kyle Busch elicited a very real and emotional reaction from the faces of the sport at the time. Personalities that, I may add, are very laid back usually. Elliott did what was shown earlier in the video by flipping the bird, but also Dale Jr. issued a slight threat towards Busch, saying, and I quote, "He's gonna need some security from all of us," and then spinning him out a few months later when NASCAR returned to Richmond for a second time in 2008. This is the type of stuff that gets people talking, both inside and outside of the sport. I don't care who you are. Everyone loves a heated rivalry. In football, for me, I love nothing more than when my Minnesota Vikings cream the Packers. Same goes for when the Cubs beat the White Sox or the Cardinals. And in NASCAR, when Dale Jr. would beat Kyle Busch, I'd be really ecstatic. But these type of villains and bad boys aren't just a modern thing. They're instead a type of driver that has been around since before NASCAR's inception. NASCAR drivers at the start of the organization were one of two types of drivers. They were bad boys or badasses. The driver pool was filled with moonshine runners, criminals, and World War II vets. And through the early 70s, the drivers were pretty much like this. Look up any driver from back then, and they all have some kind of kick-ass and cool backstory. My personal favorite being Curtis Turner, who was outriding the cops running moonshine at the age of 9 and caused so much trouble that he was actually banned for a short time from NASCAR altogether. Hell, he was even the first NASCAR driver to make the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was that big and that big of a personality. Moving forward though, there were other individuals that took a more prominent grip on the villain role. One guy that many don't really seem to think or talk about much about this is Darrell Waltrip, Jaws. And to many younger fans, they would see this as something alien. This guy.
Sticking on a life of its own.
Cereal, milk and cereal, cereal and milk, cereal and milk.
This guy was at one time the biggest, baddest guy in NASCAR. Remember that Jaws nickname that I just mentioned a little bit ago? That was tagged to him by Cale Yarborough after DW wrecked him. What'd Waltrip do? He got an inflatable shark, like the movie Jaws, and he put it in his pit. DW was a troll, and I respect that. But that was far from his only altercation in his career. His career was littered with them, including one that can be seen as a passing of the torch in 1986, with the sport's biggest bad boy and villain of all time, Dale Earnhardt. This man was called the Intimidator for a reason. This man had trouble with everyone. If a driver didn't have problems with Earnhardt, they probably weren't running up front. He had the previous one with Darrell Waltrip. He had a fierce on-track rivalry with guys like Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace, a back and forth with Jeff Gordon, as well as a chronicled Bristol rivalry with Terry Labonte. But the one that many remember is his pass in the grass in the Winston.
Down the Yeah, well, I tell you, really, Elliott had to back off because he didn't know which way Earnhardt was going to go coming out of the grass. Now comes the action right now.
This is the most famous occurrence of a rivalry he had with old Mr. Popular, Bill Elliott. Earnhardt had this time been the one poking Elliott for a reaction, one that he would eventually actually get from the Dawsonville native. So how do all of these instances answer the lone question, why we love to hate these drivers? Simply, it's because we hate how good they are. Most of the time, if you weren't rooting for them, then they were probably better than your driver. This also feeds into our nature, the nature to have heroes and villains in any type of story. These villains to be hopefully beaten by our heroes. The reason that we love to hate them is that they make races infinitely more interesting. We love it about them. Villains and bad boys are generally extremely confident in racing, and they know they're good. We love all this, but we hate it if we're on the wrong end of it or our driver is. It's a double standard we all share through experience. And with all of this, I want to leave this topic to you. Who is your favorite NASCAR bad boy of all time and why? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.